Today on the Galactic Talk, June 4th, there's a brother. For me, is an elder at the same time too. And I've been actually on Facebook coming to his information, intel. And at the same time too, he was dropping science there and there from Pontiac, Michigan. We're welcoming Rod Hayes.
Yeah, thank you. Yep. So, you had asked me. We said we were going to go over a few topics and try to get the people up to speed to what's taking place in the world and around us and how it affects us directly.
Yeah.
Right. So, you were saying that you would be starting off. So, my name is Rod Hayes, Dr. Rod Hayes, Walker University, aka Morpheus Mysticus Megas, and my primary. I'm what you would call a North American witch doctor, a ancient shaman in modern practice. Much of what I do is done in seclusion because of the levels of the mind that has to be accessed. I need, to be able to do shamanistic duties. And one of those is finding out what's going on in the world and why it's society as it is. So we have a lot of things in place in order to maintain the balance of the universe and the balance of the planet. And as part of the duties of the shaman, we was to bring these things to the attention of the people, but the people not always receptive. So the shaman is normally relegated to the outcasts of society to inform them so that they can figure out ways to reach the inner workings of the modern society, because society takes on different forms under different people at different times according to the patterns of life on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
So we start from there. I like to say I was born a shaman. I was born this way, and I had to figure out how to adapt my external 3D life to the shamanistic practice. That way, I'm not what you would call too distant from society to communicate with the people effectively, but at the same time, I'm not so intricately woven into the society that I can't see clearly what the afflictions are and how to solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, as my mother always tell me, I'm not here to take sides. I'm not here to pick one side over the other. I'm just here to fix it. Solve the problem. Problem solved. It's easy to fix.
Yeah.
It all boils down to one thing, and that's the unity key. So we're going to use the unity key if that's the only thing that's going to fix it. Anybody that's not partial to the unity key, then you know that they have to be excommunicated from the collective.
Mm-hmm.
It's not personal, it's family business. And we the Earth family. We can look to the stars all we don't wait for motherfuckers to pull up in spaceships with kicker boxes and speakers on it. But the reality is going to remain that we own Earth. We was born on Earth. We came through the womb of a woman that was from Earth, born on Earth. We can't go back to the time when the woman didn't birth the child, because, as they say in the Morris literature, time never was when man was not.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you can't calculate a time frame, a fixed time frame in which this woman was not producing men. They just wasn't produced in mass like they are today. They were produced to fight wars.
Right.
Besides that, they were a parthogenic culture, and they lived in arts and artistic expressions of the Shakti, divine feminine energy. So where we at now with the shamanistic practices, we're trying to rebuild everything that was torn down under a rogue series of governments globally. So you have the matriarchs of China taking the charter that gave China their right to set up the communist government is now in the hands of the collection of matriarchs in China. And over here, we don't even know it. Right? The same with Japan and Thailand. America's the last place. All of the matriarchs everywhere just waiting on American matriarchal solidification in order to switch the system back to what it was before it went rogue.
Right.
Right. So in the American system, part of the reasons it was not fixed sooner is because of this contract. In the contract that's being signed in a blood oath, using the blood of the first person to die in the American Revolution as Crispus Attucks.
Mm-hmm.
This is a replica of an ancient Babylonian cuneiform story where they have to kill a god in order to subdue the people. Right. So we thinking that the crucifixion story is a story of resurrection. We didn't know it was a story of enslavement of a people by slaying of the gods, spilling of the blood of the gods on the earth until such time that the earth spirits rebel. Mm-hmm. That's what you call a demon. Because now so much of the spirit or the blood of the gods has been spilled on the soil that the earth then wakes up in a enraged motion of earthquakes, tidal waves. You're killing her babies, right? So since you're killing her babies, she's gonna wake up in a rage. She's a dragon asleep, a giant green dragon curled up in a ball, and we just walking around on top of her as her children. Mm-hmm. When you wake her up and something ain't right, she's gonna balance it out. And in the human arena, where you see humans doing human activity in all 9 areas, as spelled out by Dr. Neely Fuller in the United Independent Compensatory Code for breaking the chains of white supremacy, right? So when you know what the 9 areas of people activity and you understand that the only way that these things are going to be dealt with is by a mortal man in a human flesh body, nature's going to generate that because it's going to be necessary. Nature's going to generate a human being that has to deal with the human problem in order to balance the scales of Ma'at or nature. So to bring nature back in this balance, they have a practice that when nature starts getting out of balance and the humans can see it in the 3D world, they begin to perform rituals around the planet, what we call them tribal rituals. The dances around the fire. We had to update it. So we dance under spotlights in the nightclubs. The ritual the same. We still doing the same conjure. Mm-hmm. We just don't know we doing it now. Yep. And that conjure is going to wake up the spirit of the earth spirit that's directly tied to the mitochondrial connection with the women. And this is why Elijah Muhammad said the nation can rise no higher than its women. Mm-hmm. And the Moorish literature agrees with that. Mm-hmm. As well as the UNIA literature of Marcus Garvey, you know, as well as W.E.B. Du Bois in his literature. All of them agree that as long as the woman is oppressed within our communities, we are permanently oppressed. And until we break that and liberate the woman, until we restore the matriarchy, we're just going to remain being screwed by the system because the system is designed to screw us until we put the woman on top.
Indeed.
So this is what all of those, the Moorish Women's Consulate, this their job. That's what they're there for. Mm-hmm. The MGT, GCC, this their job. That's what they're there for. Mm-hmm. You know, the nation, the guys in Earth has an Earth Consulate. That's what they're there for. Mm-hmm. You know, and we don't let nobody get away. If they gangbangers, if they under the 6 or if they under the blue, they got the Sisters of the Struggle. That's uniting all of those sisters. Mm-hmm. It's the same with the Peace Stones and the black and red and the Bloods. They all tying back into the vine. That's what they call it. When the matriarch call, and the only organization that can facilitate all this within our community, that can reach everybody, both the Moors and the Indigenous, both the gangbangers and the church women. You know, the only people that can reach everybody is the Nation of Islam. So we can say what we want about Farrakhan, but he did something that nobody else did. He gave us a platform to if the God or if the nature spirit was to produce somebody that would come back and put this shit in order, they need something to start, a point of focus, a platform base, something to work from. You don't got nothing to work from, you can't build nothing. And he's the only one who has a what you call solid enough scaffold to climb this ladder. You know, the Moors has been fragmented ever since what happened to Drew. We know what the Conjure sacrifice of Claude Green is now with the voodoo cult of Islam. We know what that's all about now.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a secret no more. It's in the public domain. And that's the problem. All this is put out in the public domain because we didn't know why we was oppressed. It didn't make sense to us when our ancestors lived so lavish over here. How we go from living lavish to living like paupers. And this was what my job was, to discover what did they do? How did it work? Who did what? Bring an end to the Conjure war and don't take a side. The only reason why I had to push harder on the Moors is because them some bad, because they was winning and I came from the side that just so happened to be the feathers. But it ain't personal. I don't take it personal. This is my homeland. So we got a series of hierarchy that we can call, and sooner or later, Mama gonna send one of her boys that's gonna figure it out. Well, I'm number 7, and it's been figured out. So now they have to put it all back together and give it back to us. But see, one of the side effects of the Conjure wars is when this shit is over with, there won't be no more separation between feathers and peasants. We done with that shit. We don't even need that shit no more.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Now we just got to do like they say in the lies, meet everybody on the level and leave on the square.
That's it, man.
You know what I'm saying? Once we do that, we all right. You know what I'm saying? Everybody bump straight. No credit, no debt. You can't have no slave.
That's right.
No credit, no debt. You can't have no slave. Their system is designed on a credit debt scenario based off fiat currency that has no true value. It's monopoly money to lure you into a system of debt and loans so that they can hold you in bondage.
Indeed.
That's the trick. You know? So the Moors brought the law over here that they the ones who set the foundation. They the ones set the rules. They already knew this. Both sides knew this. So then here he is, putting this shit together in their face in real time, stacking the bricks on top of the bricks until we get to capstone. So the only way you gonna know who he is, he got to be the master of masters, but he had to be a self-raised master. That means he had to go out and discipline his own self, because can't nobody else discipline him because he won't accept it. That means he had to go out and teach his own self because can't nobody else teach him because he won't accept it. You know what I'm saying? When you got this unruly character, how do you teach him? You don't. You just make the knowledge available. He gonna grab the relevant shit and put it in the order that it go in. It's just the nature of the monkey man. And that's why his symbol in Egypt was the baboon. And that's why over here is King Kong, that's Thoth, reclaiming the empire. That's why he's on top of the Empire State. The reason they shoot him off is because that's the ambition. They don't want him to never get up there. Once he up there, it's a wrap. Well, they can wrap this shit up. They can put it in the shoe box. They can put it in the candy box. They can put it in the cake box. Hell, they can put it in the refrigerator box, the ice box. This don't matter to me. This shit a wrap. All I know is Pandora box has been put back together because there's only one mental that's capable enough to process to that magnitude to put that shit back together. It's like trying to unscramble an egg. It's damn near impossible, but it ain't. It can be done, but very few can do it. Maybe only just one. And then we take the whole curtain because it all go together. It's still 1 dozen. 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 sections of the Order of the Round Table, the Moorish Order of the Round Table. We all know CMB, Charles Mosley Bay. If you don't, we ain't up on our shit. If we don't know who Ravana Bay is, we playing game.
That's real talk, man.
If we don't know who Empress Tierra Verde Honesty Gossanel Bay is, we sitting here we cracking jokes.
Indeed, bro.
If we think Malachi Z. York not a martyr, we a damn fool. If we think that Larry Hoover and Jeff Ford some gangbangers, then we really lost. If the people don't recognize the chiefs can't restore the land. So this is where we at with it. Whether they was Moorish or Indigenous, the Conjure were over. I said that shit is enough. I'm the high chief of the land. The games went on long enough. Call went out. Now they can let the kings back to the land to restore this shit. If somebody don't do it, how's it gonna get done? Everybody waiting on somebody else. Well, I took the initiative. I ain't waiting on nobody. Mm-hmm. I decided to start putting it together because I remember hearing something about in my prison days when I was walking through the day room. I heard something say on TV said, if you build it, they gonna come. So I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna build the matriarch. And everybody gonna fall in line because the matriarch's running there. I don't care who you is, you all got a mama. Everybody got to answer to their mama at the end of the day. Right or wrong. And if you get too out of line with mama, daddy gonna bust you upside your shit. You know, that's the way it is. Now it's time for the mothers to start healing the earth. Because they are our first healers, our first nurses, our first teachers, our first educators, our first spiritual instructors, our first songbirds that sung the songs of liberation in that year. They don't even sing liberation song. They sing booty shaking song. I mean, I don't got no problem with a booty shaking song when it's time to shake booties. But when it's time for liberation, where's the songs of liberation? Well, where the rest of them at? They all making music. You know, where the liberation music at? So we got to put that shit in code now. They don't want us talking no liberation shit. So now we turn into mumble rap. They don't even know that even mumble rap is telling the story. It's saying that we're not allowed to say what we want to say, so we got to mumble under our breath. But this is supposed to be freedom of speech. But now they want to censor you for saying the shit that's true. It's okay to tell all the lies you want to as a Christian preacher, but when you talk the raw and uncut and you use the word in the middle of that shit, that ain't you the problem.
There you know, yeah.
And now, look, anybody tell you to be politically correct on a platform is a damn fool. And I'm going to tell you why. To be politically correct mean that the politics are correct. To be politically incorrect is a rebellion against the incorrect politics. So while you got these guys like Obama or Clinton, they all up there smiling and being politically correct, the politics ain't correct.
Indeed.
So you get a guy to come out the woodworks like a Khalid Muhammad. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear that shit. Then the ones who supposed to be using that for fodder to grow, run from it. They look at Farrakhan like he did something wrong because he rebuilt what Elijah Muhammad had built and Wallace tore down. It ain't nothing personal against Wallace, it's just family business. Fredo could not do what Michael Corleone can do. He's not a strategist. He's lost in that position. So now you put Farrakhan in the position, he gave y'all the final call. Now go ask him, did he do it? Ask him, was he an instrumental key part in raising of Hiram Abiff, the master builder, who they was waiting for a master to be raised by the lion's grip and a lion's paw? Ask him, don't ask me, ask him. You know, anybody got any doubt, call him up and ask him, did you shake that hard for real?
Got you, bro.
Ask Malachi, was he part of it? You know? So sooner or later, somebody gonna have to answer this shit. I want to see Mumia Abu Jamal on the street. You understand what I'm talking about?
Indeed, bro.
I want to see Mutula Shakur on the street. This is what I'm talking about. I want to see Seiko Odinga if he's still living. Been brothers the whole time. Because he's going to put it all together and we're going to put this shit out in the open. And here it is. We're in the public domain now. So the matriarchal call is when the mothers of the land decide to congregate to restore the land. This is what the women do. Once the men is ready to go to war for real, the women have a meeting, you know?
Yeah.
Because this is ridiculous. Most of this comes from running from the power of self. Not wanting to develop your inner self. You being outworked by everybody else, but it's your shit that they training in. They outworking you and you're a lazy champion. You don't want to train for the opponent, you're training for the fight of his life. And you want to lay around and eat bonbons and cake while he drinking carrot juice and eating whole pineapples. You want to eat bonbons and cake. And while he running 15 and 20 miles a day, you want to do 2-3 miles. You want to slack off because you used to do 5. Because you got this many wins. You can't never stop training to win until you get tired of fighting. You sometimes might have to change up your tactics, your strategies, and your methods. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we win the Conjure war. We restore the Matriarch. This shit a wrap. Now we get to go to the type of ideas of thought. No big eyes, no little U's. The 5 is just as important as the 6.
Mm-hmm.
The red is just as important as the blue.
Mm-hmm.
The black is just as important as the white. They all got a different function. Use it for what it's worth and keep it in its place. What Ali said, under your own vine and fig tree, right? That means tribe up. That's what that means.
Bro, Matriarch, like we spoke earlier, saw a lot of information that you've been sharing, actually, and the work behind it. So, please share your, what you can disclose, your work on the matriarchal, I'm going to call it essence or energy, especially in this time.
Okay, so the energy work for me was part of my shamanistic duties. They call it, a lot of them call it light workers and whatnot. And what it is like fortune tellers learn to read the crystal ball or tarot cards. And then you have those like in the motherland, they read the goat entrails or the cow entrails, and they normally do these at some kind of ceremony or ritual, even if it's a mini ritual for like a tarot reader has a mini ritual they do when they set up. But anyway, it's calibrate energies so that you can read, I call it the hieroglyphics of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Every movement in the universe is written with a definition in the book of eternal life. When you understand how to read the hieroglyphics of the universe, you're not reading the same language that you read in English or Japanese or French or Chinese. You read an entirely different language.
Yeah.
Part of my duties as a witch doctor or shaman is to translate what I see as close to what you can understand for the person I'm talking to as possible. To tell them what the spirit is saying is in their path. This is what you need to do or don't do. This is what I see. If you watch, you just look for this sign, and this sign. Right? Most people don't take that shit serious. They think it's entertainment. It's not entertainment. And there's not nothing cute or funny about it. It is what it is. And so reading those energies is the same as reading hieroglyphics. A heavily melanated person that's from the Nile Valley can go sit in front of the hieroglyphics and reach what they call the alpha wave state of the brain. Then they no longer are looking at pictures. Those pictures animate like a cartoon and tell a story for the person that's melanated. They exaggerate it in the movies. And this is the part that people don't get.
Yeah.
The movies give you an exaggeration of what is really taking place with you. when you have in your experience. Mm-hmm. So the same thing I just talked about, where you have this, the coming alive of the animation of the hieroglyphics. It's not like they show in the movies where they come off. It's not like that. It's like you just automatically know what it's saying as you scroll down and with your eyes. You just automatically know because it's in your genetic code to know. And your genetic code has something on it called the governor. The governor keeps you from accessing the information that's above your pay grade. You know, and so I got to be able to translate it at the highest levels all the way to the lowest levels.
Gotcha.
Right. So the only way you can do that is you got to get to the top. And when I was getting these knocks, I didn't understand why they would make me feel the way. We call them knocks. This goes back to the spiritualist research of the early 1900s when they called it rapping and tapping.
Gotcha.
Rapping and tapping is a carryover from old Louisiana Conjure that became known as the blues and jazz and soul and rock and roll. They all brought in a different piece to the puzzle. The rapping and tapping is the playing of the ancient drum, the ceremonial African drum. That's why everything is based around the drum and music. It's a ceremony. From the rock concert to the church, to the masjid and whatever instruments they play there, to India when they playing the cymbals with the drum. It's all a ritual.
Indeed.
Because the earth has started to deteriorate till almost 98% of the earth's population requested Mother Earth to change the current conditions. And because over here, we stayed in this condition so long because once the Moors got in the trap with us in the Conjure War, nobody ain't know how to get out of it. So they just keep repeating the same dumb shit over and over. That's why you got the series of fallen leaders. Rise up, fall, because they are not finding the blind spot. No matter whether they the Moors or whether the Amarus that was already here. They both got trapped in the conjure, throwing conjure balls at each other. Trapped each other to the point where neither one of them can find a way out. So now, because Garvey recognized what key was missing, called the gorilla key, and Prince Hall and Absalom Jones recognized the conjure at play in the lodge. This what made them set up the Prince Hall Lodge. And they went to make sure that these people over here don't give them no shit. That's why they went over to Europe to get their first charter. They didn't want to charter them over here because they didn't want us into the information. Once they got into the information, Noble Drew Ali, along with Marcus Garvey and Elijah Muhammad, put it all in the public domain. They played flea flicker, keep away. They wasn't the only ones. It was some that we thought was our sworn enemies. They were still putting the secrets in the public domain so you could get the keys. Like J. Edgar Hoover, who was a mulatto that everybody, and he was the spook who sat by the door.
Yeah.
You know, that's the spook who sat by the door who figured out how to use the gangs in order to bring us some insight into the hood. The whole up is the people cowards. Our people that have been under the white people been trying to, what we call white people is not even white people.
There you go.
But the ones they so-called white people, the pale-skinned people, fighting harder for the dark-skinned people, and the dark-skinned people running from the truth. Running from that shit. Noble Drew Ali said, then I can count how many of y'all gonna be saved on one hand. Surely our children should suffer from the lack of knowledge to an extreme degree. You know, and this is where we at with it. So, what we do with the energies and how we read them tell us where the trap's at. from the conjure. The conjure leaves a residual. It's like gunpowder residue. Everybody got to pay for their own dirt. Whether you break a mirror on a crossroads called the high conjure to shatter the minds of the gods, which you're not supposed to do, or whether you do some low conjure to try to take another woman's husband or wife. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter. You got to answer for your dirt. You gonna get your shit. Realize who you are. Mm-hmm. This our shit. You know? Some of us, it was Tulsa, Oklahoma in the Black Wall Street episode. Some of us, it was the Philadelphia bombers, the Giant Africa, and the MOVE movement. For others, it was the Rosewood incident. For some, it was still carryover from the non-ending Seminole War that never ended.
That never ended. So speak on this, bro.
Right. So they tell us that the Seminole War lasted 300 to 400 years. But what they don't tell you is the Seminole Wars never ended. All they did was went into the inner city. And this is why they have Jeff Ford over there right now talking about he was trying to make a deal with Gaddafi. He's the general in the Seminole Wars. But his people don't even understand what's going on, so they don't even know. Larry or Chief Malik, he don't take that bullshit. There's no way them brothers supposed to have been in prison this long. Any of them. They all freedom fighters. Freedom fighters stop fighting. There is no fight left. You are permanently oppressed. It's just as fortunately some of the women had the foresight to see this. The women was the ones who, when these men fell, they the ones took the fight to the children. This is how we got to do it. We can't do it like we've been doing it because they kicking our ass. They start calling the ancestral calls, right? The ancestral calls or the matriarchal call of the ancestors, however you want to put it, is an old ancient voodoo rite. And usually, a lot of people in the, like Tariq Baker tell you the story about the Legba calling the Ogun. They call them next in line. Up now, because they got the Legba, they got the whole tribal clan of elders on this planet for the first time since the beginning. Mm-hmm. The men and the women, the whole Orisha are present for the first time since the beginning. That's how bad this got. And you can't never outthink the Orisha because they've been here through it all. There ain't nothing you can come up with they haven't already conquered.
Gotcha.
So now that the Ogun, that old goon is on deck, they got to answer to that. It's not personal. The only thing about Ogun is he don't care about who started it or who's going to end it. He just want it over, fixed, and fair. That's it. If you got it coming and you earned it, pay that motherfucker what you owe him and keep moving. If you owe him your head, then buy with your damn head. If you owe him $100 and give him his $100.
Right.
Pay what you owe in due proportion so that you can balance the scales. Mm-hmm. That's it.
That's it.
That's all, nothing personal, just family business. Mm-hmm. You know?
Mm-hmm. And coming now, before, going on occult history again, this one just struck me. So you're around Michigan,
Yeah.
For me, I've been to sacred places on the Antilles and, near even the Great Lakes. So Great Lakes, for me, it's a sacred place. You're vibrating actually around that place. So could you tell to the people, Rod, one of the mystical or metaphysical events or even experience that you had, surrounding the land of Michigan or even the Great Lakes that's nearby?
Oh, I get them all the time. I get them so much. They so common to me. I mean, I could go
figure it out. Yeah.
Experiences all day. But, there's only one right hand on Mother Earth. And that's what we call the murder mitt in Michigan.
Please repeat that name again, bro.
I said there's only one right hand of the Mother Earth. And it's what we call the murder mitt, the state of Michigan. Mm-hmm. Just like Italy to boot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the Cosa Nostra. Cosa Nostra is the origin of La Familia, what they call the mafia. Yeah. I mean, La Familia, it's a family.
Yeah.
Right? So they was teaching family etiquette, family hierarchy over there. Right? But that's also where Vatican Rome is in the boot. Mm-hmm. See, and Sicily is the redhead stepchild of Italy, where all of Hannibal's soldiers' children were exiled to.
Right on.
Right? So they put them down there because they was the darker skin and they were easy to recognize. So then that didn't work for very long because the Romans, which was actually Etruscan Moors, mm-hmm. had everybody in Europe from Cordova all the way up into what we call the Prussian Empire that became Russia. Mm-hmm. They had them enchanted with the mystic arts. And then some of the things some of the people were doing was unsavory. And it caused the people of the land to rebel, which we call them pale skins. But all of them wasn't pale, and all of them wasn't dark. And that's what the problem come in is when you talk about American skin-based racism, it's an artificial construct, so you never know that it ain't got nothing to do with the skin color.
Exactly.
As long as you fighting over skin color, you will never know that the white is a chest turn. In law, it means the attacker. Mm-hmm. And black in law is a chest term. It means the defender. That's all it is. There's nothing more than that. The caste system was used to implement the skin-based race system to keep you from seeing the chess game, the fifth dimensional galactic chess game. Mm-hmm. Conjure encompasses every aspect of human life on a unified field theory scenario. You know, everything is interconnected. So working to the singularity is the method to the problem. It forms a cone. And the cone forms a telescope. If you want to see distant past, you got to look at distant future. If you want to see distant future, you got to see distant past. Mm-hmm. It's a cycle. It's a loop. Yeah. An infinity loop. But the problem is the infinity loop is an accident that was caused on purpose in a collider explosion. To jump out of the infinity loop is to wake up at the exact right time to push the consciousness out of the loop so that we can continue to ascend on an upward and evolving level. We out of the loop now. You know, it just needed the right amount of sisters to be awake at the right amount of time and have the right amount of direction and the right tone. All that shit over with. Now it's about, we at the part of the game where public disclosure of all of the tragic shit that they uncovered comes to the open. The matriarch started to get the call to Chicago to meet with Mother Khadijah because she's the highest matriarch on the land right now since Aretha Franklin died. Mm-hmm. And she's also the highest matriarch that's willing to unify the matriarch. So, I mean, once it's all said and done, when they all send somebody to her, and they're gonna announce it from Mas Mariam, right there in Chicago, on Stony Island. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. So no more, you know, everything that had to be resolved from educational issues to political issues to the lobbyists is the problem here. The interim government is the problem here. The interim government that was supposed to be honoring the treaties tried to take over. While we was doing our Conjure war, these bankers from Prussia, the Prescotts, the Bilderbergs, the Bushes, they all came in and tried to steal our shit while we was fighting our Conjure war. This how family handled family business. And some outsiders came and tried to sneak in and get our shit. They all got caught. They all got caught. They supposed to stay out our business and continued on with their contract to mediate the land while we fight our Conjure war. But no, they want to take over. They figured that once we get so confused fighting each other, we won't know what the going on. They can run off with everything. Trick no good.
Yeah.
We gonna let no strange come in and just take over our
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna do that. So we stopped fighting each other. That's what Noble Drew Ali did. It was one group that wanted to continue on fighting. That's what made the split with the Moorish Science Temple.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of unifying and overthrowing this mother oppression for real, because it didn't got out of hand now. You know, some of them think it got out of hand with the Watts riots. Some of them don't feel it was out of hand until Lil Yummy got murdered. Some of them felt it got out of hand when Matriarch Martin got killed. Others felt that it got out of hand when they started busting up the Black Panther Party, killed Fred Hampton and Mark Clark. Some of them feel it was out of hand when they killed Lil Buntry. Or when they killed George Jackson, the Soledad brother. Because they say he had a gun in his afro, as if you can't see that. That's the dumbest shit in the world for a strategist like that to do. And they expect us to believe everything they say. They told us Charles Manson was trying to start a race war when he was trying to stop war. And then failed for it. Then they got us scared to even call each other because we think we talking about hell goddamn. We met NAGAS. And we'll fight amongst each other, as Pac say, but I promise you this, we'll burn this down, get us pissed. With the $5 Indians being coming over in servant capacity, being trusted with the secrets, you know, and reclaim the land at the end and the conclusion. July the 4th, 2019, the contract of the interim government of the corporation known as the United States of America expired. The corporation is a merged corporation from the Virginia Company, a slave trading company, and the Northwest Slave Trading Company merged. They went to Philadelphia and established a trust contract and undermined the contract of the people that we put in charge. That's why there's capitals down in Philadelphia. They moved it to DC, a district. It has no home. They said we landed our landmass on their ship. That's what they said. So they was exercising the law of the high seas on our landmass because they said our landmass fell on their ship.
Mm-hmm.
And their ship was called Plymouth Rock. More specifically, the Great Plymouth was the name of it. They called it the Plymouth Rock because right before that crashed into our land, it was rocking back and forth, side to side in the storm. And they said, and the Plymouth rocked.
Mm-hmm.
And then it crashed into Gibraltar. I mean, they got us on one side of the ocean that's on the other side.
And that's quite frequent, this thing, though.
Right. They call that's called the Great Flip.
Mm-hmm.
When you find out where it really going, you put it in place and you claim that aspect of it. I didn't put everything where it go now.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end, what we got to do now, we had to get a shaman behind the speaker's desk to occupy the ship that's on our land. So we can flip that back to us because they ship fell on our land. It wasn't the other way around. But on the international court, under the Uniform Commercial Code, they said our land crashed into their ship. You got to think about that for a minute now. How the did our non-moving land crash into your moving ass ship? This was their claim. Yeah. This is how they get the power. This is what made them set up the District of Columbia as the crash site. So they had to box it in. Why do you box it in? Don't you put tape around a corpse and box it in?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you do that? So you don't disturb the crime scene, right?
Yeah.
You keep all of those wayfarers out of there that don't belong while you process the crime scene. Go look at it now. White House is fenced in with military guard. The state building is fenced in with military guard. What you call the Capitol building. Well, what if this shit fenced in? What the fuck is Joe Biden them doing with this dog and pony show they do?
You know what I'm saying?
From Castle Rock Studios.
So please expand on this with your intel, bro. You know, the whole illusion things going on.
Okay, so part of our redemption process requires us to use every stratagem of war.
Yeah.
One of those stratagems of war includes the extraction of what we call critical assets from the battlefield at time that they may be removed by the enemy. It also gives us the added advantage of using that soldier's valuable intel from being boots on the ground to now being in the war room, formulating strategy, right? So a lot of people that you think was literally murdered or died some strange, they ain't dead. They were extracted. Now we got two groups working on this process of extraction. One is the Scientology for those who don't look like us, and the other one is the Nation of Islam for those who look like us. They both doing the same thing, but they both doing it under different pretenses. This shit, you're not gonna get out this shit without some heavy strategizing going on. And that's where I've been focused on the strategy. So I gave them all the keys. Now now it's about the time that it all come out into the public domain. And that's the intent and the goal of participating in this type of talk, is to get the information out to the people so that they can understand what's taking place. Is the indigenous people of the land is reclaiming the land. All matriarchs are involved. That means your mother may not consciously tell you she involved, but even she have a sense that she's involved because it's the call. And the call is a spiritual call. It's nothing to do with no radio, TV, or none of that. It's internal for the women. Right? I can show you the structure and tell you the methods that they should be using, but only if they ask. I already gave it to what we call the high court clerk or the matriarch. She got the information. That means your mother may not consciously tell you she involved, but even she have a sense that she's involved because it's the call. And the call is a spiritual call. It's nothing to do with no radio, TV, or none of that. It's internal for the women. Right? I can show you the structure and tell you the methods that they should be using, but only if they ask. I already gave it to what we call the high court clerk or the matriarch. She got the information. She just got to make it public. She don't have to. She can sit on it now that I gave it to her, because now the structure is in the women's hide. It's in they collective consciousness now, because they all connected like that. And once she got to see it, they all now know what to do. Right. But we don't know nothing about that because we idiots to the opposite sex. We don't understand the nature of the woman because we don't understand the nature of the man. So as long as we don't understand that, we're going to stay in conflict in the bedroom. We supposed to be rocking that motherfucker all day and all night if we want to. Because of the attraction is that high. But you can't get the attraction that high under oppression. And it don't last long. That's why you had teenage pregnancy highest under oppression. The more oppressed you be, the younger they start having babies. Why? Rapid turnover of the birth rate in order to accelerate the speed in which the divine ones become born. Right. The oppression makes the girls produce children at a younger age. pursue older, more viral men and stronger men. They strategizing through nature, strategizing on their behalf. The harder you oppress it, the more nature work on their behalf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they had to call it through a system that's in place. They call hiring forward.
Got you, bro.
So that's where we at with it now. What's next on the questions list?
Yes, and that's we're speaking about Matriarch, and especially for their sisters out there. So by showing an analogy of what the Empress Verjace from the Washita did. Could you share an analogy from her work and what the sisters out there, should embrace and recognize with?
Okay, so the biggest thing that the Empress did was she challenged treaties. She challenged treaties using birthright because the birthright is superior to the treaty. And that's what made her win successful, was over 69,000 acres of land. And exiled all of their court system from the land because she exercised birthright. And that's the only thing that overrides the treaty. Well, now the treaty is expired. She done that before the treaty was expired.
Mm-hmm.
When the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, they say it's the oldest known treaty still in existence. Well, it's not in existence as of July the 4th, 2019. It expired.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole Conjure war got to come to an end now because there's nobody to maintain the land. We had to restore the chieftains, the bays. And that's why in the Moorish Science Temple, you have a flag of the L's, but you don't have no flag of the bays. Most Moors don't even know what it is. And it's the flag of the bays, that's the flag that the original indigenous people of the land flew to symbolize the power of the chieftain. So right now, we still under the law. The law is the instructions given by the Moors to the interim government on how not to disrespect neither the bays or the L. They violated that series of instructions and now they overthrown because they disrespected the position. They had to be given a right to rule because they was the last who never ruled. So now, under their right to rule, they f***ed up. They let a motherfucker come in, step his foot in their house and do some shit he wasn't supposed to. But they did it by the book.
Mm-hmm.
They gave us the 3 knock. They gave us a World Trade Center knock in 1991. They gave us a federal building knock in 95. Then they gave us another World Trade Center knock in 2001? 3 knocks that they was going to move on us. Those are economic centers. The World Trade Center is an economic center, and the federal building was a government center. So they was telling us that they was going to take our money and take our government if we don't act. Well, I had no intentions on doing none of this because I didn't feel like we was doing what was necessary to win. We wasn't doing our part. Even Bill Cosby said we ain't living up to the bargain. Everybody looking at him like he crazy. What the bargain you talking about? No matter what happened, we were supposed to walk under our own vine and fig tree. We were supposed to set up everywhere we go to keep us advancing forward until now to make this easy. The only one who did it right was Elijah Muhammad, Noble True Ali, and Marcus Garvey. They did it right.
Mm-hmm.
Then when the people no longer could benefit from their help, what they do, crash that shit, start over. So when the UNIA crashed, is when the Moorish Science Temple rose. Look at the books, it's right there. Ain't hard to find. Look at the dates. When the Moorish Science Temple crashed, that's when the Nation of Islam rose. The UNIA gave birth to Pan-Africanism. Marcus Garvey hold the title for that, but he don't hold it alone. Du Bois hold the title for creating Pan-Africanism. What do Africa even got to do with this? We ain't from no Africa.
Indeed.
It's because they actually brought some people from over there to confuse the birthright.
Which is key, yeah.
The problem with that is y'all brought over here and Garvey knew the key to wake these up. He brought the gorilla key with him. So that's why you got to go back and read the whirlwind speech. Because through the whirlwind speech, if you know the conjure, you know exactly what's going on, then you're going to get ready and you're going to get on deck.
Gotcha. So that's what's up, bro. Thanks for this. We'll go for a couple minutes, bro, because I know time is running for your schedule. Time traveling. Let's say the hijack. There's effects, and we've seen it. There was at some point different timelines, and people actually, vibrating to different frequencies. Could you share some of your intel regarding this, Rod?
Time travel?
Yeah. Time travel, yeah.
I look at time travel like a tarot reader look at cards, right? So once you learn the Conjure, one of the things you learn, they took it out and put it into a science called control remote viewing, where you can actually mentally move back in time through your ancestry. You can actually experience parts of the life of each one of your ancestors. It's a couple of little caveats to that, but by doing that, you can go back in time in the mind. The mind doesn't have a limiter on future, past, or present like the physical body does. The mind can move through time and dimensions. It can move through the darkness and the light. And it is the only thing that can do that. And mind is the consciousness of the universe that comes through the echo of the silence. It becomes its own observer in each one of us to look at things from a different angle of light. And by putting these together in the physical form, we begin to travel dimensionally or linear timeline back and forth. But it's all through meditative practice. That's why they told the Christians tell you the transcendental meditation is some kind of evil demonic shit. Because they don't want you waking up to what you really is on the inside. Because as long as you allow yourself to feel like a victim, you're going to stay victimized. As long as you feel powerless, you're going to remain without power. As long as you feel defeated, you will remain defeated. And sooner or later, we the type of people, we're going to rebel against that shit. We're only going to take it for so long, then we're going to rebel. You might win, but you won't stay victorious over us. We might suffer a defeat, but we'll never be defeated. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We might run into a bad situation, but we won't come out of it worse for the wear. Because we're going to try to transmute that shit every turn. This is who we are. And that's why this they've been doing won't work on when you call it an ancestor. The problem is, but nobody called an ancestor.
Gotcha.
So Garvey, Dubois, Elijah, go all the way back to Prince Hall and Absalom, they calling on the ancestors now. What took 500-600 years only took about 60 years when you call on the ancestors when you put the right knocks in place. But then it got so bad that it took longer than it needed to take. When they're supposed to get this bad. But it got so bad that now, you know what I'm saying, it took longer than it was necessary. It took 100 and something years of knocking instead of 10 or 20 years of knocking. This is a lifetime of a child. Becoming an adult. Because the prayers of a nation is answered through the womb of the women. The collective prayer, sooner or later, that's going to have to boil down to one. By trial and by effort, by work and by suffering. And he gonna be stronger than everybody else. Not because he want to be, because he gotta be, because there ain't nobody else left to do the job. Ain't nobody else left to do the dirty work. While all these running around in the churches and the mosques and chasing their tail, I'm doing the real work. I see them. I see where they stuck at. I can't stop and unstick them right now. I got to get across this finish line first, and then they'll see what the going on. One of us got to win, so I decided to win.
Exactly.
One of us got to think a little bit deeper than everybody else. And my OG, Larry Hoover, told me we ain't gang banging no more. We brain banging. Mm-hmm. So where the gang at? Where the fight at? If we brain banging, where's the fight? Right?
Yep.
I didn't know that it was a place called a mastermind group where masterminds meet and go to war to play the strategy. But now that I know that, and I know that it's a mental war, I'm the most trained for the job. I'm not going to lose. It's not that I'm not going to lose because I'm better than nobody, because I'm going to outwork everybody else that think they want to play. That's why I'm not going to lose. I'm going to out-train you. I'm going to out-study you. I'm going to out-exercise you. I'm going to out-breath control you. I'm going to out-hold my breath. I'm going to out everything you do to get ready for this war. I'm going to double it up or triple it up. If you ain't out-trained, you're not going to win.
Well said, man.
You know?
Yeah, well said, man. Well said. Final question, bro, because now time is running down. So I put it on my website. I've been, through other stellar system. I had some recalls, passing shit live on Earth. So, bro, you're a chief. Whenever either you communicate or you get together with, with the other chief or chiefs, or even, chiefs, women, could you disclose what you can about the communication with
So the communication is primarily done through an old Navajo practice called wind talking. The closest thing I could give you a reference, there was a movie called Wind Talkers with the dude that played in La Bamba. What's his name? Richie something.
Okay.
But this is a movie about the wind talkers. We got a way to communicate where I can go and whisper at a tree over here in this part of the land and tell the tree that I need a chief in South America's most southern point to get the message. The tree would then relay the message to Mother Earth, who will use everything in her power to write the message in the hieroglyphics of the universe for the other chieftains to read it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so tailor-made to the individual chief to read it at his level. So he might not even know he the chief yet, but he noticed that he sees something that nobody else can see. That means that he was born to become the chief. This is what happened to me. I got memories of being born, of my early childhood rituals when I was months, not years, months, 2-3 month old rituals. Most people can't remember being 9 months old. I remember being in my mama's womb. That's not normal memory.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know why I got better than normal memory, but I was the worst student in school. This didn't make sense to me.
Right.
But when I realized that I was one of the chiefs of the land and that I had to figure out a way out of this shit, then it made a whole lot of sense. I wouldn't let them indoctrinate me is what the problem was. But I had to see how they was teaching the kids that was coming up with me. That they were indoctrinating so I can know how to break the cycles. So we use a whole different language than English to communicate. You don't even use words. And we call it reading the hieroglyphics of the universe. biblically speaking, they would call it reading and writing on the wall. The hieroglyphics that's written on the wall is the reference point to what we're talking about.
I see. So thank you for sharing this, Brother. So we're coming to an end. So then again, your host, Taino AGL, we had for the last past hour, a Rod Ace, a chief shaman. The information that I received channeling was a warrior as well. So I gotta say, this brother is an elder, and at the same time too, a living library. And this is really from the frequencies that I'm getting it. So, Brother Rod, thank you, man. Much honor to you, your work. People might not hear it or see it, concretely, but the ones that are in tune with these frequencies, of love, especially, will know it, So much appreciated, bro.
Oh, for sure. I'm glad you had me on here. Just make sure you send me information so I can share it.
No doubt. So before leaving, Bro Rod, did you want to share quickly your words of wisdom, especially now in these times?
Well, what I tell most people, just do what you already know is right, and you won't need nobody to correct you. Mm-hmm. Be your own worst critic, so any criticism you receive from externally can only compliment you. Don't take none of it personal. We all playing in this game of life. And it's each one teach one is the name of the game. And if each one teach one, we all gonna reach something. Until we reach 100 monkey effect. That's called critical mass in nuclear fission. Once we get the critical mass, then they gonna wake up and realize who really on that. So that's what I'm gonna leave y'all with. Sisters is on their job, and we about to see some within the next 2 weeks.